Meanwhile, the U.S. president has made a premature exit from the G7 meeting amid concern amongst those who were at that summit over actions they needed to take to address a fast escalating conflict. Donald Trump, though, stressing the departure was not linked in any way to an offer for ceasefire between the warring sides. Or that's contrary to claims made by the French President Emmanuel Macron.
We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often. But we're looking for better than a ceasefire.
Mr. Trump also took to his social media platform, strongly denying reports that he had initiated peace talks with Iran. G7 leaders earlier issued a statement with the backing of Mr. Trump, calling for de-escalating hostilities in the Middle East, which would include a ceasefire in Gaza. Prior to his departure, Mr. Trump said he had to return to the U.S. because of, quote, what's going on in the Middle East, but revealed nothing much beyond that. He also urged everyone in the Iranian capital, Tehran, to evacuate immediately, sparking fears that the conflict could worsen very quickly. Nick Harper tells us more.
There is a question as to whether this departure is a push for peace or putting the US on a war footing. We know that he has asked his National Security Council to be prepared for when he lands, and he's asked them to ready the Situation Room. There is some speculation that we could see an increase of Israeli attacks against Iran, or potentially the US getting involved in some way, or perhaps being ready in case Iran decides to strike US bases and assets in the region. Donald Trump, though, has also pushed for peace and has suggested a negotiated truce. Now, it's not the first time that Donald Trump has left a G7 summit early. The last time that Canada was hosting, back in 2018, he did just that. On that occasion, he was heading to Singapore to take part in the North Korean summit with the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. Here in Canada, on day 2, the focus for the remaining G7 nations was meant to be all about Ukraine, a big summit planned with other world leaders being invited, including the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. But with that situation in the Middle East, there is the potential that that Ukrainian summit could be torpedoed, the G7 leaders instead having to focus on the Middle East region rather than the crisis in Ukraine. Nick Harper, CNA, Calgary.
And more, we're joined by Toni Waterman reporting live from Washington, D.C. Toni, we just heard Nick Harper's report there. So Ukraine falling by the wayside at the G7 summit. Of course, there are other draft documents that Mr. Trump will not be there to sign. What can the G7 achieve now that is effectively the G6?
Well, there are several things that can still be accomplished without Donald Trump being physically on the ground. The remaining leaders are going to be discussing these major international challenges, obviously the Israel-Iran conflict, global economic growth, and Ukraine. But before Trump left, he did sign on to that short statement saying that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon and calling for the de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East. But without the U.S. at the table, it's going to be challenging to amass any sort of unity among all of the top 7 world leaders, particularly when it comes to something like Ukraine. But Donald Trump on that flight home telling reporters that he was looking for something better than a ceasefire. He was looking to a real end to this long simmering, decades-long conflict between these two countries. And the U.S. is continuing to insist that it has not joined Israel in attacking Iran, although we do know that it is helping to shoot down some of those missiles that are being lobbied at Israel. Trump said that, if Iran were to attack American interests in the region, that the gloves would come off. The U.S. would come down, in his words, so hard on Tehran.
Toni, apart from threats like coming down really hard on Iran, what options really does Washington have dealing with what's happening between Israel and Iran?
Well, there are several options. I mean, President Trump could try pressuring Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The U.S. could stay the course right now, or it could get involved, which is really something that Donald Trump does not want to do. And he has been sending these mixed signals out. So on Truth Social, he told everyone on Monday to immediately evacuate Tehran. But he's also said that he's mulling sending the vice president, J.D. Vance, and his special Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, to meet with Iranian officials to talk about this conflict, but also to be talking about the nuclear deal that he's been trying to negotiate. Trump has said that he expects to know more about Israel's plans in the region, whether or not it plans on slowing down its attack or whether we're going to see an acceleration in the next 48 hours. But we already know at this point that things could be escalating. The Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Foreshadowing surprises to come on Thursday night into Friday. In his words, surprises that would make the pager operation look simple. So, of course, the pager operation was the series of coordinated explosions targeting members of Hezbollah, blowing up their pagers, their walkie-talkies in Lebanon and Syria back in September of 2024. So we're expecting this intensification. And of course, you already mentioned that a lot of governments, particularly in Asia, are now withdrawing their citizens and diplomats from the region.
Oh, thanks. Toni Waterman there reporting live from Washington, D.C.